Favorites. We've all got them. Unlike your mom and dad, unlike your teachers, we're not here to hide them from you. Today, we're going to be going through our favorite WWE wrestlers of all time.
That's right, guys. We're Goody Graps, and we're back with a top 10 for you today.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. Follow us at the links below. We'd love to interact with you, share some more takes. But without any further ado, let's get into it. Casey, with your number 10 favorite male WWE superstar of all time.
Okay, starting it off with my number 10 is Dominic Mysterio.
Dirty Dom himself. The man, the myth, the legend. Tell us why you love Dirty Dom.
I love Dirty Dom. Well, okay. It was hard to rank everybody 1 through 10. Let me just say that was difficult. I love Dirty Dom because I feel like his entire character is sort of a tribute to Eddie Guerrero in a lot of great ways. And I love that. Also, he's just like super handsome guy. He's been involved in like many great storylines.
Dude, he's so lovable. He's so scandalous.
Yeah.
He's just like, every time you see him, you see the shit-eating grin, the mustache, and you're just like, you want to see him just continue to just be evil and do the most despicable thing. Like, to me, he works as a babyface because he's so likable and just like, he's a handsome, lovable guy.
He works great as a heel too.
He's the perfect heel where like I think he can stay evil his entire career and he'll just remain super over.
Yeah.
But, another guy very similar to him who is just over with the fans on a little bit more of a positive side. Huge part of my childhood growing up. My number 10 guy is Jeff Hardy, the charismatic enigma himself. Like, I have so many fond memories of him just like jumping off of stupidly high shit. He came out with the face paint, like hair painted, the little sleeves. Like, he just looked dope, and like he had aura. And as you'll see, a lot of my list, like growing up as a black dude, there was not a lot of respect shown to like black wrestlers until like recent years. We just got like the last couple years black WWE champs, but like something about Jeff Hardy, he always felt like he was for us. So like, you know, like I always rocked with him. Jeff, you a real one. And let's go to number 9. Who you got?
My number 9 is Damian Priest. Love Damian Priest. Oh man, I can't get into it too much without revealing one of my honorable mentions, but love Damian Priest. Love his involvement in the Judgment Day. I loved him as a Terror Twin. Him and Rhea together as a duo were super cool.
One of my favorite eras of him was El Campeon. Like right when he won, like his Money in the Bank cash-in was great.
Yes.
He came out the next night like fitted up, looking good. He looked good. He looked good with that belt over his shoulder, and he very much convinced me and a lot of the audience that he like deserves to be in the main event with that championship run. It's no secret I haven't been the biggest fan of what he's done since dropping the belt, and a lot of that is just like kind of, it can be attributed to the everlasting feud with Finn Balor. But I think that once they separate and have some time away from each other, it'll really freshen both of them back up, and we'll get to like continue to see like someone who really like got comfortable in his own skin and came into his own this year. So the sky's the limit for Damian Priest. Shouts out. My number 9, and keep in mind I'm a longtime fan. Casey's a newer fan, so we might see some like distance in the active years.
Probably.
My number 9 could also be seen as like someone that's like deceptively low on my list, but I've been watching since like the early 2000s, so it was kind of towards the end of this guy's run. I got Stone Cold Steve Austin. His impact cannot be measured. Like when you think of pro wrestling and you think of it being cool, the first thing that should come to your mind is Stone Cold.
Yeah.
And just like the iconic moments, all the beer, fighting Mr. McMahon, the feuds with The Rock, feuds with Mankind and Triple H. He just, when he like would come back as like the sheriff, he always just seemed like final boss, but like a babyface final boss, you know, like
definitely.
No matter how despicable any heel gets, if like people don't get their comeuppance, like at any point in time, you hear that glass break, Stone Cold can show up, hit somebody with a stunner, and the crowd's going home happy. And like, he's not a piece of shit like Hulk Hogan. Like we see him with his cats, we see Poncho, we see Macho, and he's aging so gracefully. Like when you're not problematic, you age gracefully. And Stone Cold Steve Austin,
isn't that something?
Continues to like, we didn't see him in WrestleMania, we didn't see him at the Raw Netflix. He's got better things to do. He's a Texan. He's taking care of his cats. But he's still a man, and lots of love. Shouts out to Stone Cold.
Yeah. My
number 8.
My number 8 is Bronson Reed.
Big Bronson Reed.
Big Bronson Reed. I was so sad that he wasn't at the Netflix premiere, but that's okay because he's going to come back in a big way, and we're excited to see it.
In a big, big way. I can't wait to see him tsunami all your favorites in 2025. Hopefully, he's back in time to get like that one match with John Cena before Cena wraps it up.
I hope so.
He's a perfect. He said it himself. He's like the perfect Cena villain. But my number 8, you know him, you love him. There's no one else like him in our industry. It's Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn just makes me smile. Whether he's a good guy, whether he's a bad guy, his commitment to everything he does, he makes you feel something. Like when he's a villain, he's fighting Johnny Knoxville, and you're sitting there watching him do slapstick, and you're just like, this is so goofy. This is so like stupid, but it's so funny, and like I'm entertained, and he committed to it and bought into it, and it was so believable. Like it's like so funny. He kept the bloodline over.
Yeah.
In my opinion, the bloodline started to jump the shark a little bit, and the addition of Sami Zayn got them over.
Sami Uso.
Yeah, the addition of Sami Uso got them over, kept them over, made WrestleMania 39 like such a big moment. And I think like this past year, like they cooled off again some more. Him reuniting with them has like heated them back up again. And I think he like can do no wrong. I want to see him go into Hollywood and like act and stuff. He's also someone who like outside of WWE is a good person, constantly speaking up on behalf of like Gaza, and he's got a Sammy for Syria. He's like just
Sammy's a cool guy.
He never misses an opportunity to virtue signal. But
he really means it.
We need that. And one of the most genuinely just like amazing dudes on this roster, and I'm always going to root for him and want to see him just have continued success.
Definitely. Funny that you brought up Sami Zayn because he's on my top 10 list as well. He's a little bit higher up.
We'll be seeing him again shortly.
But my number 7 is someone you just mentioned, is Steve Austin.
Stone Cold, baby.
Love him.
That's the bottom line.
Even as like a new wrestling fan, there are some iconic moments that I think just everybody knows. But seeing him as like an old cat dad has been really cool too. Makes me like him more.
And we live in Texas, and like there's something about him that's just like everyone that lives here knows
a guy like that.
They know a guy who's just like some redneck that's in his 40s, 50s, that's just like an old bad son of a bitch. He's just like a bad motherfucker that you don't want to mess with. Like, you know, he's got old man strength. You know that he doesn't seem to smile very much. He doesn't look like the guy you mess with. And there's something about that aura. He just carries it. Like, it's so badass. But we've bitched enough about it.
He's cool. We like him.
My number 7 is somebody that he recently had his most recent match against, a guy that uses his finisher, Kevin Owens. I love Kevin Owens. I don't think that I can really put to justice with words how I love Kevin Owens.
Yeah.
He is just like the most believable guy. Like when it comes to like on the mic, I love CM Punk. I love John Cena. Kevin Owens is like my next guy. That's right there with them, with The Rock. He's just magnetic. He can make me buy into whatever he's talking about.
Oh,
he's
absolutely.
So athletic. He hits cruiserweight moves, dives, swantons, frog splashes, takes so many risks with his body, jumps off of stuff. Like a guy like Kevin Owens and his versatility where you can just like plug him in the main event and have him fight your most important guy. You can have him lower on the card doing some comedy stuff. Like, he's so funny.
Kevin is funny.
Like, he can do anything. He's so versatile. He can fight he can believably be a powerhouse and smash guys around. He can bump and, like, when Braun Strowman runs into him, flip and look like he just got hit by a bus. Like,
when I saw him attack Roman Reigns at Raw
Netflix,
yes, I screamed.
The scream I scrumped.
The scream I scrumped. Yeah, I was not expecting it at all, but it was perfect.
Dude is one of one, and I think he's just... I love that guy, and I will always be rooting for him. I want him to beat Cody for the title. Cody can win it back at some point, but...
I'm glad Kevin's on your list, because Kevin's in my honorable mentions.
Shout out to Kevin.
Shout out to Kevin.
Number 6.
My number 6 is Randy Orton.
My number 6 is Randy Orton.
That's crazy.
Let's go. What can't, like... this is
what can't he do? Exactly.
What can he do? Like, first and foremost, the guy's quads are insane. Like, I've never seen anyone who just looks like that chiseled out of stone. They say, like, if you're going to build a WWE superstar from the ground up, it's going to look like
Randy. It would be him.
I see Randy Orton, and it makes me feel like, damn, I can't skip leg day. Like, I need to make sure I get my squats, my lunges, all of that shit in.
No, Randy's in insanely good shape. And he's been around for such a long time. Like,
Randy Orton, like, I think he was the Intercontinental Champion when I started watching wrestling. So
wow.
My entire, like, wrestling lifetime of watching, he's been around, and he's been one of the best. And
me, as a new wrestling fan, I remember my introduction to Randy Orton was watching him torture John Cena, who I love so much, and it just changed my perspective, and it made me really love Randy.
No, he was an evil motherfucker, dude.
Yeah.
Like, when he was bald and looked like a snake, and he would just move so slow. He, like, when he was a champion, and, like, for a while after, like, during that little bald evil phase, he stopped doing the pose. He would just, like, get up on the ring and stand there and stare into the camera. It's so evil. And I was just like, bro, this guy is, his commitment
he pulls
to just
it off.
He's, in my opinion, the greatest heel I've ever seen in pro wrestling. Because we'll get to some stuff later, but, like, every hero needs a villain. And the better the villain makes the, like, triumph of the hero that much better. And, like, this guy was a villain to a lot of my favorite wrestlers. So
yeah,
shout out Randy.
And to a lot of people's favorite wrestlers, I'm sure.
And as a good guy too. He's also awesome as a face.
Yeah.
Like, right now, old man Randy, where, like, he's been around too long and no one wants to boo him because they have so much respect for him. Awesome. Like,
or like seeing him do like a Wheatley interview with Cody.
Yes.
So cute. So pure.
Seeing how proud he is of Cody.
Yeah.
And, like,
it's moving.
Seeing, like, Randy, seeing him be, like, the elder statesman makes me feel old, because, like, I remember when he was, like, the young problem child on the roster, and seeing him grow up kind of, like, feels like it mirrors, like, I feel like I've grown up with him. And like, at Backlash France, when the French crowd was singing his song to him, and he just stood there and looked like the most moved that he's ever been. And we lost him for, like, a couple years. We just didn't have him the last couple years.
Yeah.
And having him back, like, I don't take it for granted when I see Randy Orton. So when we go, like, we're going to be going to a show trying to see John Cena for the last time and stuff. Like, I hope Randy's there at that show that we go to, because I don't take it for granted, the moments we get to spend with him.
Definitely. Speaking of, I'm glad you brought that up, because my number 5 is John Cena. Yeah. Of all the wrestlers that I have come to love, like, over the past year, I think John Cena is probably the one person you didn't have to explain to me who he was. I think I've just always kind of known who John Cena was.
He's comforting
but
in that way.
Yeah.
He's always been there.
He's always been there.
He's like Santa Claus.
And always some kind of inspirational character, like whether he's like playing a Marine or like helping kids with cancer. He's always like a hero, and he's never been, I mean, he was the doctor of thugonomics for a while, but he's never been, a heel. He's always like some kind of superhero. And I love that about him.
We'll talk about him more later. My number 5 is a guy that he famously battled once in a lifetime, twice. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. The final boss, I don't know what there is to say about him. Like, I personally think I can like say wholeheartedly, no one has ever been better at this craft than he is. And like you can say, okay, there's people who are better in the ring, there's people who are better on the microphone, but the purpose of pro wrestling is to entertain. And this is like a form of entertainment. You can call it a sport.
He's an entertainer.
Whatever. This man is the most electrifying man in all of entertainment. The catchphrases, the moments, like another thing like I used to show you is compilations of The Rock just like roasting people.
Being so funny.
He's just the best at roasting people on the microphone, the best at like making you invested in a product from what he's doing, getting the most out of the crowd. He comes out and he just raises his eyebrow and people lose their mind.
Crazy.
He comes out and he slaps his goosebumps on his wrist. People lose their mind. He transcends wrestling. Like there's always been this thing, no one's bigger than like the WWE, and he's like the exception to that. He is so big and so important to pop culture at this point in time that like him being back on the board of directors and like kind of how he was on the Raw Netflix premiere as just like Dwayne and not in character.
Yeah.
Like that's something that like they need because he and his presence and what he's able to bring brought all these eyes to this product. And he grew up in wrestling. He's a third generation guy. Like it's in his blood. So like he loves this. And like I think that we'll be seeing a lot more of him like pouring into this now that he's like on the board and has like more like stakes in it. But yeah, I think The Rock is another. And like I said earlier, there wasn't a lot of like black champions or anyone that you could really like identify with, like see yourself in.
Right.
But The Rock is like the close, like being half black, half Samoan. He was like our guy.
Yeah.
He was our guy. And like, everybody I know loves The Rock. Like in real life, everybody I know.
True.
Like, and the thing is, like his movies aren't even good. His movies fucking suck. Like I don't like any of the Fast movies. I don't like the G.I. Joes, Jumanjis. He plays the same guy in every film.
The Game Plan.
The Game Plan is fire.
The Game Plan.
Gridiron Gang. His football movies are good. Gridiron Gang and The Game Plan are both chef's kiss. But historically, his movies, like the last decade or so, when every movie he's playing Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson with a different name.
Scorpion King, good.
But you know, The Rock. Shout out to Dwayne.
Yes, yeah, The Rock. The entire bloodline, honestly, is really talented, and that's why my number 4 is Jey Uso. Yeah,
it's just me, Oos. Day one.
It's just me, Oos. I don't know. I'm a new fan, so of course, like seeing Jey Uso, like in the past year, his rise to where he's at now has been really cool. Mm-hmm. I felt like when I started watching, he was just kind of lumped in with all the bloodline drama, and now he really is main event Jey Uso, like doing his own thing, having his own matches that are independent of any bloodline stuff is really cool.
He's really this generation's like Jeff Hardy. Like we got to see him go from the tag team with his brother where if that's all they ever did, they'd be Hall of Famers. Like they were so good for so long, the longevity from the early Samoan face paint, doing the haka or whichever tribe. I don't want to say haka because I feel like that's like a New Zealand thing or something. I don't know. Yeah. But whichever tribal thing that they were doing in their entrance to like rebranding the Uso Penitentiary, wearing all black, the rap battles with the New Day. Like seeing him go from that to being like the single most over person, like the entrance with Travis Scott, we talked about it the other day.
Oh my God.
If you've never seen WWE before that night, you'd think that Jey Uso is like
the guy.
He's the guy in the industry.
That's Mr. Wrestling.
And like he's really just like, it feels like he doesn't take any of it for granted, and like he's really just like super humble and relishing in this moment and appreciative, and like the connection with the fans feels so real.
Yeah, it is
and
for
so
sure.
authentic, and like as long as the fans are there for him, he's going to keep going out and giving them everything he has. And it is beautiful to see. So, like, big ups to Jey
the crowd
Uso.
always pops for Jey Uso.
He's just fucking cool.
He's cool.
Like, that's why he's, like, Jeff Hardy. Like, you just look, if you're watching wrestling just based on, like, he's cool. Like, you look at Jey Uso, he's like, all right, he's the fucking coolest.
He's a cool guy.
He's the coolest guy that they got. My number 4, and if you ask me, like, most years until maybe, like, the last year or two, I settled into, like, my number 1 is my number 1. My number 4 was my number 1 for, like, decades. Just a couple people have passed him up just recently, and that's a good thing because he's a little bit older, and I feel like over time we're supposed to get better and surpass the people that came before us. We had to pay it forward.
Yeah.
But there's no better wrestler ever, all time, than the Heartbreak Kid himself, San Antonio's own, Shawn Michaels.
Yeah.
Shawn Michaels is your favorite wrestler's favorite wrestler. Like, everyone in the industry hits super kicks right now. It's like a transitional move because Sweet Chin Music was everyone's favorite finisher. And he just looked cool. Like, talk about being cool again. He's the 90s version of them just, like, being cool. Coming out of a tag team, wearing, like, all the flashy, like, androgynous stuff where like, everybody just like, oh, this guy is long hair, he thinks he's so pretty, I'm just a sexy boy floating from the rafters. Women wanted him, men hated him, he was such a dick. And then he goes away, gets himself clean, comes back a born again Christian, and it's just like, hey, no more politics, no more backstage anything. I just want to pay it forward, have the best match on the card every night, and be a mentor to this next generation. It has an arguably better second act where he's just every year at WrestleMania, the best match of the year is happening, and one half of that is Shawn Michaels. And he's just, you can't say enough about him. I grew up watching like DX and going to school, getting in trouble, crotch chopping. Everybody had their little DX spray paint shirts. And like looking back, that was like old man DX. That wasn't even like they're doing dad jokes and shit. And it's like, well, I'm a freaking 12-year-old kid. Dad jokes, I'm the target audience of a dad joke. So like, love those guys, man. And I feel like he's another one who he went out on his own terms when he was ready, didn't overstay his welcome, and like people want him to come back. And like there's that one match I don't really talk about that he came back for in Saudi Arabia. It's not canon, but like his send-off is like I think the best send-off we've gotten, where like I hope that they're able to do something like that for Cena.
Yeah, I hope so. He deserves it. My number 3 is Cody Rhodes. Yeah.
The son of a plumber?
Yes.
The brother of Goldust? Stardust?
Yes.
The guy that, whoa!
That guy.
The quarterback? The face
him.
of the industry? The one that holds the North Star? Cody
Rhodes, honestly, it's crazy that he's even my number 3 because he's been my number 1 probably this entire time. Cody Rhodes is the reason that I like wrestling. And watching him getting like emotionally invested in his story and seeing him finish it and get to have his moment and everyone's so happy and proud of him blew my mind. And yeah, Cody's been my favorite for a long, long time. I think he's awesome. I think there's nothing Cody Rhodes can't do.
I feel like I've tried a couple of times to get you into wrestling, and until Cody Rhodes returned to WWE, nothing like really like stuck with you that made you want to be like, oh no, this is something I should watch. And like that's just shows the power of Cody Rhodes. I watched Cody Rhodes back in 2007, team with Hardcore Holly, looking so skinny, looking like Dusty's punk ass kid. I was like, I like this guy. Like I like his little Zelda boots. I like him teaming up with Ted DiBiase. And then, like, when he started doing his own thing, dashing Cody Rhodes and his feud with the Big Show, everything that he did leading up to Stardust and leaving, I watched him on the Independents. That's, like, the time that I was most into independent wrestling.
Yeah.
It was when Cody was on the Indies and doing his stuff with Bullet Club and Ring of Honor and New Japan. And him being able to just, like, even be responsible for, like, partially the creation of AEW and, like, I feel like that sent wrestling into this boom. Like, WWE has a proper competitor. There's places for everyone to work. There's places for Cream to rise to the top of the crop. And this is all based on his vision and him believing in himself that, like, I'm more than Stardust. I can be the top guy in the industry, and I'm going to show everybody in the process of, like, proving it. And the guy's amazing, dude.
Yeah. And I just think, like, of course, Cody believes in himself. Oh, Dusty believed in him so much. And I saw when I watched the Hard Times promo, just really, like, sold me for Cody and put me on his side, and I wanted to see him finish the story.
Shout out Cody Rhodes. My number 3 is a guy who was able to do something that Cody Rhodes was never able to do. He held both the WWE and AEW World Heavyweight Championships. And he recently retired full-time, but I think that we'll be seeing him again in some part-time capacity down the line. It is Bryan Danielson, Daniel Bryan. Yes. Like I said before, there is no one like Sami Zayn, but when it comes to underdog babyface, I don't think that there's anyone that comes close to Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson. What he was able to do just as a little guy transcends just, like, so much of what was possible before Daniel Bryan ever existed. He was a little man in the land of giants that more than belonged. He's technically the most proficient wrestler I think ever. He's, like, the most awarded wrestler, the most lauded wrestler. Just the amount of acclaim that his match has had, and seeing his journey where, like, he was the king of, like, Ring of Honor and the independent scene, and then he finally makes it to WWE, and there's still, like, a ceiling over him. And even though, like, everyone's looking around like, no, this guy's the best performer in the business, he had to break through that. And when he finally had that moment at WrestleMania 30 in New Orleans, it was like a cathartic moment that showed everyone, like, no, this is possible. Like, even you can go out there and achieve your dreams at the highest level and beat Randy and Batista and Triple H in the same night as a little furry vegan guy. Like, and then him having to retire so early felt like he was just, like, taken away from us prematurely. And then when he comes back, being able to put on the catalog of matches he had the second go around, where we get the Planet Champion, the little hemp belt.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
The hemp belt.
Got one more WrestleMania main event fighting Edge and Roman. Turns up later that summer after that WrestleMania in AEW, and, like, becomes, like, one of their top most respected guys there, and just has classic after classic with those people in that promotion. And, like, I just really respect that he went out on his own terms, had his kids and had Brie Bella there cheering him on, and it just he's given a lot to pro wrestling, and I think that his impact can't be measured. But yeah, love Daniel Bryan, love Bryan Danielson. Shout out
both of them. My number 2 is somebody that we all know and love. There's nobody like him. It's Sami Zayn. I know we've already talked about Sami Zayn a little bit, but Sami Zayn is someone who I have grown to love and seen, do so many cool things since I started watching. I used to hate Sami Zayn. Early days of, like, watching wrestling, I wasn't a fan of Sami Zayn, and anytime I saw him get involved in Bloodline stuff, I was just like, who is this guy?
Sammy, I vouch for you. I vouch for you so hard, Sammy. Every time I'm just like, no, you don't understand. Like, no, this is the guy. Like, he is the one. There's no one like him.
Yeah.
You came around.
But I came around. Yeah. And now Sami Zayn is my number 2. Love you, Sami Zayn.
Shout out Sami Zayn.
Shout out Sami Zayn.
Shout out long hair. Shout out short hair.
El Generico. Yeah.
Shout out El Generico. Give a haluva kick to the like button. So I'm peeking at your list, and my number 2 and your number 1 happen to be the same guy.
Really?
And I feel like
really
he deserves his own video. I feel like he could have easily been my number 1, but I think a healthy
now I want to know who your number 1.
A healthy hint of nostalgia is fueling my number 1.
Okay.
But Phil Brooks, CM Punk. This guy is one of one. And I've said that about several guys on this list, but when I say it with him, like, without CM Punk, we don't get, like, Daniel Bryan's WWE success. We don't get Seth Rollins. A lot of the guys that came up on the indies, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn. CM Punk was the original, like, Ring of Honor guy that came over, and they gave him the ball in ECW. They gave him the ball with the World Heavyweight Championship. It felt like he won Money in the Bank back-to-back years. Like, they were high on him. He was a Paul Heyman guy. And then when he finally clicked, when it was like that summer of Punk, when he finally started mixing it up with John Cena, since that moment forward, he's been like a standard bearer for this industry. The guy has done everything everywhere, and not a lot of people like him. Some people think he's a martyr who, like, just he has to have it his way, goes hard. But I think it's just a testament to his passion and how much he loves this industry and has a vision for, like, how good it could be. And the results speak for themselves. Like, since he's been back, we saw a crazy Rumble performance. We saw crazy matches with Drew leading up to that Hell in a Cell, the War Games, his match with Seth on the Netflix debut, and everything that seems like 2025 is going to be his bucket list year. Like, he's only getting better with age. He's aging like a fine wine.
Yeah, he is.
The best in the world.
Yeah, I'm just going to piggyback off of yours because CM Punk is my number 1. Can't say enough, like, good things about him, but I think, like, ultimately my favorite thing about CM Punk is that he's always going to say what's on his mind. You never have to wonder what CM Punk is thinking. And that's my favorite thing about him. He's not afraid to stand up to Triple H or to, like, a Vince McMahon. No one can tell CM Punk what to do. And I think that's the coolest fucking thing about him.
Yeah, one-man revolutionary. He is just a crazy, crazy, crazy talented guy. Like I said, he deserves his own video. We might even end up doing that as future video ideas. We might just do deep dives into, like, our favorite moments from specific.
Drop a comment, guys, if you want us to do a CM Punk video.
Before I get to Glazing number 1, do you want to go through your honorable mentions?
Yes. I already said Kevin Owens, but my other 2 honorable mentions are Roman Reigns, of course. I feel like I can't believe he hasn't been in my top 10.
I acknowledge you, Tribal Chief. Love everything you've done. I'm so sorry I didn't acknowledge you in my top 10, but you are my Tribal Chief.
Yes, we acknowledge you. Roman Reigns' story is really cool. I feel like he, in his own way, went from undesirable to undeniable. And now here he is having this huge moment, and it's really beautiful to see. So I'm happy for him. Sorry I didn't put you in my list, but you're in my honorable mentions. And then my next honorable mention is Bad Bunny. That's another thing that got me into wrestling as a brand new fan. When I found out that Damian Priest fought Bad Bunny, I was like, that didn't really happen. And it did, and it was awesome.
Excellent match. All of Puerto Rico was on their feet for Damian Priest. And I feel like if we could give Logan Paul a title, we could give Damian Priest, or we could give Bad Bunny
a title
run. Benito, love you, man. All the best, and looking forward to your next appearance here in the WWE. So my honorable mentions is essentially about as long as the top 10 itself. It's the who's who of names that were, like, almost on this list. Like, that 10th spot for, like, Jeff Hardy was, like, at times all these different people.
Yeah.
Triple H, the things that you've done. Like, I like you more since you've become the booker. I think It just seems like he's just a guy he's been in WWE since like the mid 90s to this day, and he's like dedicated his life to this company, and just like so many moments, like you can't, like I was talking about DX and that era growing up, you can't tell the story of WWE without Triple H, and he's just been there for so many moments. I could not have him on this, and he booked Cody finishing the story, so
yeah, it wouldn't have happened without him.
Wouldn't happen without him. Chris Jericho, I know he's old and like trash now, but I will say in 2008 he was my desktop wallpaper because he was
Chris
so
Jericho.
fire back then. And even like when AEW started, his theme song was so fire, like the whole crowd was singing it. I still think that I can appreciate his contributions to wrestling without ever wanting to see him on my TV again. I saw that he fought Edge like last week. It's 2025. I'll leave it at that. Batista.
Oh, Batista.
Dave Batista.
Oh,
like you were right there as like one of the faces of like the Ruthless Aggression era, me growing up. Along with Eddie Guerrero, gotta pay my respects there. Eddie is just one of the most entertaining people I've ever watched. Like every segment with Eddie was gold. Whether he's face, whether he's heel, you loved him. When he was bad, you loved to see him be bad. When he was good, you loved to see him be bad. And, like when you would just like look at the camera when he was about to lie or cheat or something,
or steal.
You'd just be like, it reminds me of like a Looney Tunes thing. Like you'd be like, I'm like, dude, like how could you not love this guy?
Yeah.
Building off that, Dirty Dom, love that guy. I think that he's the modern Eddie Guerrero and still so young. He's like our age.
Yeah.
So he's going to be around doing this for a long time, and the sky's the limit with him. AJ Styles, from what he's done in TNA and New Japan, everywhere that he's been, he's made a case to be the best wrestler on the planet. And now he's like winding his career down. I feel like you didn't experience prime AJ, so you'll never like really hold him in that regard, but he has a best of all time case that's like legitimate. Another small guy like Daniel Bryan and Punk who like really overachieved and just like it became an inspiration for so many with like the high flying moves and just being able to do all these different things. But excited to see him come back and like end things on his own terms. Finn Balor, love that guy. One of the most influential wrestlers of today, like the modern indie boom, AEW, the Elite, all of that stuff. I feel like starts with him starting Bullet Club. That's like that's that moment in time that like domino affected everything else. And of course, Cody Rhodes, we touched on it a little bit earlier. You're the guy. You're the one that's leading the industry into its most financially prosperous era ever. And like, there's no one better for the job. Like, he's killing it. But if I had it my way, at WrestleMania, he's giving that belt up. And it's going to my number one.
I know who it is.
There's only one John Cena. Like, if you gotta think about it from the standpoint of when you're a kid, everything kayfabe is a shoot. Like, that's real life. I saw Carlito's bodyguard stab John Cena, and he was back winning the U.S. title days later. He picked up the Big Show, the world's largest athlete, hit him with an FU. It used to be called the FU before it was the Attitude Adjustment because, like I said, we didn't have blacks in wrestling. John Cena was for us. He was literally Eminem. He had the Eminem demographic. He had the troops demographic. He was the Marine. I saw him in the Marine be a Marine. I saw him in 12 rounds complete all 12 rounds and save his wife. And he was still back by that summer to defeat like Chris Jericho for the world title.
Yeah. Yeah, there's nothing he can't do.
He tore his pec and left, and they were like, he's going to be out for like 9 months to a year. He might miss Mania. He was back at the Rumble at number 30. Triple H was like, what? This can't be real. I was like, what? This can't be real. John Cena is Superman. He is like the almighty, the virtuous, like what Hulk Hogan was to the 80s and the whole cause of the wrestling boom being that eat your vitamins, eat your Wheaties, drink your milk and you'll be big and strong and virtuous like me. John Cena did that without becoming a grifter. John Cena did that and like has had some good movies. Like he's not like Dwayne where like every movie he's playing the same guy. John Cena takes risks. He tries to be funny.
Yeah.
He is funny. He's the voice of Experian. He's the voice of Honda.
Yeah.
He's always been there. He's reliable. Like you don't have to question his love for WWE. Even when he like leaves and does his movies, he always is gonna come back and tell the crowd how much he loves them. Everyone on the roster, he gives them the advice, makes them better. We don't get Bianca and Cody and all these people that are at their best without like John Cena bestowing that on them.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's gonna be tough seeing him like be in the ambassador role, wearing like suits and never being the Fruity Pebbles man again.
Yeah.
But like I say it all the time, he's the Mickey Mouse of WWE. He is like the one that when you think wrestling, he's the first thing that comes to mind. Like the crossover cartoons with Scooby-Doo. He was Fred's dad in the Fred movie.
What?
Like he's the guy that you take and you send to the Today Show and you send him to the Kids' Choice Awards.
Yeah.
And he's just there perfectly representing your company. The Make-A-Wishes, he's completed more Make-A-Wishes than anyone
ever in history, which is incredible.
All the while, like people, Cena sucks. He was never that good in ring. He's the face of all the PG goofy shit. Blame fucking Benoit. Blame Chris. I know that we call him He Who Shall Not Be Named. If he doesn't go off and just commit the acts that he committed, then the company isn't forced to go PG. We don't have to see John Cena act like a goofy kid. And like, I understand he was on top for a long time. He won a lot. That's what your top guy is supposed to do. He's supposed to win. He's supposed to be the best. If he's the best, nobody can beat him. That's the point. So like, everyone that's always got smoke for John Cena, like, all dude's ever done is show up, do his job, and try to be the best version of himself for fans everywhere. And that's what the point of this industry is. And because of that, I think that like now that he's about to go, people are finally like, oh hey, he's been around for so long, but like we're really gonna miss him. And it's starting to like actually sink in. Every time that you see him, it's like,
gosh,
shit, like we're 1 week closer to not getting this anymore. So that's my GOAT. And this has been our top 10 male WWE superstars. We're going to link our video for top 10 females so you can watch that. It should be around here somewhere. And as always, like and subscribe. And Casey, do you want to leave them with anything?
No.